Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, live, all the way live from Baltimore. We are here for the CIAA tournament, and I'm having such a great time. I am glad to be here with my partner in crime, Yolanda Starks-White. Hello, Yolanda.
Hello, best friend in the whole wide world.
How you doing?
Sybil, I'm great. I am so grateful that I had an opportunity to make, this journey that we're on called life.
Right.
I am so glad that I had an opportunity to be here with you this weekend doing this particular event. This is amazing.
Isn't
So
it
thank you
great?
for the opportunity. It really is. And you know what? What's interesting is when Martine, our publicist, when she first put this together for us, I was like, yeah, we've done a CIA. Back with Tom Jordan, we've done it. Girlfriend.
We've not done it like this.
Oh my God. I played us, Sybil. I really played us.
No, we've not done it like this to see all the coming together, the meetings, the gatherings, the luncheons, and to see the young, talented young people that are here.
Let me tell you something. For those people who are scared of our future, and I always say, well, young people, they don't have, I'm telling you, it is some dynamic young people that are out here today. Yeah. We're going to be taken care of. It's some young people out here that are strong, that are smart, that are talented. We're in a good space.
Our future is in very good hands. It really is.
Our future is in very good hands.
I'm still going to be extra nice because, it pays to be nice to people. Right. But as far as our country and our organizations are concerned, we are in very good hands. Today, Yolanda attended an incredible luncheon and a women's empowerment luncheon.
It's the Women Empower Her luncheon.
Oh.
And Sybil, I'm telling you, it changed my life. So
explain this because you are all about women empowerment and lifting us up.
But see these,
and you've been to a million of
them. And today I felt like I've never been to one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't just the same, chicken and whatever dinner and people get on a program. It was a feeling. It was a vibe. And what people don't know, whenever we start our show, whoever we have on, the guests, I start all of our shows where we, breathe in and just clear the energy and set the tone for what we want to accomplish. Girl, the commissioner, she set the tone of the room. I'm telling you, she is everything.
This is Commissioner Jackie McWilliams, who we had on the show a year ago. Yes. And I'm sorry that I missed her because she really is dynamic. And as a Black woman leading the CIAA, that particular area of the tournament of basketball, football, and sports division, it's just incredible. I'm so glad you had that opportunity.
Yes, and one of the guests that we're having on tonight, Dr. Bro, when girlfriend, first of all, she's so stunning, it's hard to take your eyes off of her. So I was mesmerized by how physically beautiful she is. But when girlfriend, if I could say girlfriend with respect, when she opened her mouth and when she started talking, I was like, oh my God. I mean, Myra J., she always reminds me that I'm a little long in the tooth from when we're doing, but I feel like I want to go back to school. I'm serious. I'm going to Bowie State. Okay. That's where I'm going. She was so motivating and encouraging. If those young people that are under her, they can't help but to do well with her energy and what she brings. I'm serious, Sybil. I was really in awe. And we have met a lot of people. And I didn't even get a chance to meet her, but just to sit and just watch her and the women that was on. I'm telling you, I am so hyped and excited. It's unreal. And so really, thank you.
So this is the interesting part. While Yolanda was being empowered and informed, so was I. I was on the campus of Morgan State. And Yolanda's niece is looking at schools. One of them is Bowie State. Another is Morgan State, right? And so I have friends who work on the campus of Morgan State. And so I asked them to help us get a tour of the campus for Anaya. And so and thank you to Dean Jackie Jones,
yes,
and to Professor Michael Cotman at the School of Journalism. And it's a longer name than that. I mean, it's, multicultural journalism. But we got on that campus, and I'm like you. I want to go to school. I want to go back so bad. The young people that we had, a wonderful young woman whose name is Jana, and she gave us a tour. She is from the journalism school. Dynamic, personable, great, everything you want your daughter to be. Knowledgeable, friendly, like I said, dynamic, personality so plus, and very, very directed towards what she wants to do. I said, "What are you going to do?" "Well, I'm going to go work at CNN." And I was like, "All right, girl, you got it." And she is one of those. And you just want to be in her space and showing us around. And then we got to, in the sense of history on that campus, we went to the Earl Graves Business Administration building,
nice.
named after the publisher.
Nice.
And so I had Anaya, I said, "Do you know who Earl Graves is?" She said, "Yes, I've heard his name." I said, "Well, that'll be a part of the assignment." Right. And then took a picture of her in, the entryway. I'm telling you, in Thurgood Marshall building, I am telling you, by the time I got to the journalism building, and Yolanda's blowing me up, "Where are you? What are you doing?" And I'm going, "I'm having too much fun. I'm sorry."
And I'm like, "Hold on, Sybil. We are here for a reason. We are here for the CIAA. You're supposed to be at this." She lost her mind. She's like,
"They're not even in the CIAA."
I'm like, "Where are you? You're supposed to be here." And she stopped texting me. I mean, she stopped calling me. She was so caught up. And it's like, "I know you're on your little tour, but you can still text. You can let me." She was so caught up. I'm jealous that I missed it.
I really am, but I'm jealous of what you had the opportunity to be a part of too. I wish that we could have married those two things, but it was and so now to top it off, we're staying in a hotel, and the baseball lover that I am, I'm overlooking Camden Yards, you guys. And so it's like, well, okay, so it's spring training, they're not here. But just the idea, the baseball is coming, and on top of, I'm telling you, these young people, seeing them on the court, seeing them in the hotels and the bands and everything, it's great.
But it's one thing, Sybil, that I'm challenged by. A lot of people say that there's a whole lot of money out there for students.
Mm-hmm.
I need some help finding this money, because my niece. No, I'm serious.
I get it. Yeah.
She has a 4.0 GPA. And when I tell you, she has had a job since she's 16. We bought her a car last year so she can run errands for us. She never has time to run errands because she's always working. She works.
So Anaya, you owe Uncle Ward and Aunt Londa the money back for the car since you
right. But she works. And she's very involved in sports. She runs track. She plays basketball, and she's in the band. I mean, she is a full-round student. Sybil, there has to be some money out there. She has to get some money.
Right.
She can't. I mean, and that's part of the. I know you guys went to Morgan State. I know y'all visited. But if she doesn't get any money, she can't go.
She can't. Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
With that out-of-state tuition, out-of-state housing, or what have you, we can't afford that. That's a problem. That's a problem.
So,
but there has to be some money out there. So if anybody know any money and this baby has a 4.0 and she's very rounded, call us.
Rounded. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I had to put that out, and because she's just a good human being.
She really is.
Her energy is good. She's easy to be around her. She's so lovely.
She really is. She's a good kid. And you want the best for your young people. And because you want the best, I mean, she's looking at HBCUs.
Yeah. Well, so the reason why let me tell you something. Oh, wait till Dr. Bro come on. The reason why she's looking at HBCUs, because 2 years ago, she wasn't at all. We made her, she was very, very shy. We made her go on an HBCU tour. Bowie State changed her mind.
Won her over. Yep.
It changed her mind. The school was so beautiful, and just the energy was good, and it changed her mind about HBCUs.
And her focus is on entrepreneurship, which Bowie State also encourages, as does Morgan State. So it's really great. And some of these young people, you see them on campus and all shades and sizes, but they are. This is the beauty of HBCUs. They are directed.
Yes.
They are full of confidence.
Yes.
And they are looking towards the future. And like you said, we really are in great hands.
Speaking of which, and I know we have to move on, we have to talk about what's on the What You Need to Know newsletter. But another thing that we did today is we did Career Day, and we'll talk more about that for part of our company, HBCU Bridge. And there was a lady there who is attempting to partner with us for something else, who is not Black. Mm-hmm. And she was there with her company, and Sybil, she looked at me, she said, wow, these young people, they're so confident. They have eye contact. I mean, she was
right. So all that they have learned, they have taken. And now at this job fair, they're like, hello, how are you? This is who I am. This is what I can do.
Handshakes. Yes.
Right.
Yes. And she was just like, they are really, really confident people. I said, yes, we are.
Miss PWI. But
anyway, go
so
ahead.
Yolanda, let's go to why we're here in the CIAA. Let's hit that, and then we can go from there.
Oh, we just said why we're here.
Well, don't we want to encourage?
Oh, yes, we do. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. We're doing this in real time, aren't we? Okay, here we go.
Just told people.
Join us for action-packed games as the best men and women ballers take over Baltimore for the 2023 CIAA Basketball Championships this February 21st to the 25th. Experience it all on your schedule. Buy your general admission ticket for the game of your choice and join us to create new legacies. Bring your friends, family, sorors, and frat to experience tip-offs, dunks, and nail-biting buzzer beaters all tournament long. Single session tickets available at CIAAtournament.org. Don't miss out.
Don't miss out. I'm telling you. Don't blink either. And try not to go to sleep. It's like being on a Tom Joyner cruise. There's just so much going on.
I'm so tired. I told my girlfriend, I am way too old for this. It's a lot going on.
It is a lot going on, but I promise you it's well worth it. And if your young people are interested, and they should be, and want to look at HBCUs, this is a great place to come. Maryland has 4 HBCUs, and I believe that Bowie State was the first historically Black college in the state of Maryland. And we are going to talk to Dr. Bro in just a few minutes. Let's talk a little bit, if we can, about our day business, and that is the What You Need to Know newsletter. And in the news, this is our newsletter, which we super serve the African American community with the news and the news sampling, and talking about issues that affect us or that we need to know more about. And even though there may be a white face on most news stories, there is usually a color component to this. So we want you to take a look at the stories, especially in terms of the Supreme Court. Now that we have our, the heart of mine is the Justice Brown and Jackson. And so she sat in on a number of presentations this week, and it had to do with social media tech giants on trial. And they heard oral arguments on Tuesday regarding YouTube and Google, their parent company, as well as Wednesday with Twitter. Now, the case of Gonzalez versus Google stems from the murder of a young woman named Nohemi Gonzalez. And she was studying in Paris in 2015 when she was killed in an attack carried out by ISIS. Her family, the plaintiffs in the case, argue that YouTube is partially responsible for enabling the attack that killed this young woman by recommending ISIS videos and others that promote violent ideologies. That's pretty powerful, and it goes back to a 1996 law, and it's called Section 230. And it's a communications law that protects internet companies from being held responsible for what is published on their platforms. Now, the way I understand it, when it was presented to Congress and when they voted in favor of this, it had mostly to do with the comments section. So if comments, so that the companies, the social media companies, were not held responsible for the comments, and we know how damaging those can be. Not with the algorithms that they use to suggest other programming, other videos to people. And this also happened with Twitter, and this was Wednesday's case, in which a young man was in a Turkish nightclub, and that was under attack. And now his family is suing to get some justice and to have them be responsible for their algorithms. And we know, we talk about algorithms and how what we look at, they then take what our interests are and suggest other programming, right? And so they're saying that what they have done by using these has encouraged people who are of the like mind, of the violence and all that led to the murders of their children. American citizens and the murders of their children in foreign countries. And so the justices, listen to this, and unfortunately, just by the questioning, you can kind of determine their questioning of the plaintiffs' attorneys. You can kind of feel where they're going with this. Right. But there are some, and including Justice Jackson, as well as Elena Kagan and the Chief Justice Roberts, trying to figure out a way that they can, perhaps sway the other judges to be on the side of the plaintiffs. But we won't know anything until June when they deliver their decision. So check this out, and it's something for us to think about too, in making some changes, and perhaps with our Congress, if we can get them together from one side of the aisle to the other, then we can make them talk about it. Also want to talk about W.E.B. Du Bois, or some people call him Dubois. I gave both in our audio section. But this was a name that I grew up knowing about in my home growing up. My mother and my grandfather was a contemporary of William Edward Burkhardt Dubois, or Du Bois, born in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, attended Fisk University, and experienced the severity of racial discrimination in the South. He returned north after graduation from Fisk and became the first Black person to achieve a doctorate from Harvard University. That's that, right? So check this out. This is the man who gave us the book, The Souls of Black Folks, at the beginning of the 20th century, 1903, and a collection of essays he described as the predicament of Black Americans as one of double consciousness, a framework that's used to describe the way Black people feel, both torn from Africa and yet never fully accepted in America. The Souls of Black Folks. And if you don't have that in your library, I highly recommend it. And especially the conversation with your children. And so those are the type of stories that we have in the newsletter, and also the social justice. Coy Malone, hard at it. And this time she's talking about Black elementary students targeted by classmates with racial messages. This is in Upland, California. You think Florida, maybe in somewhere in the South. But a group of Black students at this elementary school in Upland, California, have been the targets of racially demeaning drawings by their fellow classmates. The mother of a little Black girl, was given drawings with the messages, "You're my favorite monkey," and "To my favorite cotton picker." This is 2023.
You're my favorite slave.
Yeah. My favorite cotton.
They know what they've been taught.
And by parents probably who want to take books that give us our true sense of history off of their bookshelves. But I'm getting emotional and adjusting my commentary here. So,
Sybil, that's why, because I was having a conversation with somebody today about your newsletter. That's why your newsletter and what you do is so important. When it is an onslaught of trying to bury our history and so it's not just the history, but white folks want to act like, what's happening ain't happening.
Right.
But it is up to you to inform us, because the more informed we are about what's going on, the more empowered we are.
And that's what we do. We seek to inform and empower, and and certainly why we're here, why we are here. And can we talk about our company, or you want to wait a little bit?
Let's wait. Yeah,
okay.
Let's bring our guests.
Okay. All right. So let's move to our what's going on section, and I'm very excited to introduce our guests. And the first is Dr. Aminta Bro, and she is the president of Bowie State University. Welcome, Madam President. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on this evening during this exciting week of the CIAA.
Yeah, thank you for having the time, making the time to come on with us.
Yes, thank you.
You are the first female president of Bowie State, and this was what, 6 years ago that you became president?
Just about. I started in July of 2017, so it'll be 6 years coming up this July.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank
How did
you.
You find your way to Bowie State?
Well, it was a little bit of a road because I've been in higher education, let's just say over 35 years. I'm not going to go up to that next number.
And you started when you were 10? Okay.
When I was 2. When I was 2.
I'm sorry. Okay.
But it's been a delightful journey. I've served as the vice president of student affairs out at Millersville before coming, and institutional advancement also at Millersville before finding beautiful Bowie State University. But I worked at 3 other institutions in addition to Millersville University. I'm a Philly girl, so I started out my career some time ago at University of Penn, Drexel, and then a small niche university, University of the Sciences. And then again, I came home to that HBCU love here in beautiful Bowie, Maryland, in Prince George's County. And it definitely is love, that HBCU love that you know so well. I was hearing your conversation earlier, so you know how we like to wrap our arms around our students.
Yes,
we like to make sure that they feel lifted up and that they are on the right path to their educational journey. So it's been over 35 years plus getting to this point, but it's been a great journey along the way in higher education.
It is. Your journey is one that is not foreign to a lot of people, but it's something about coming to an HBCU and feeling, as you said, that sense of love and lifting up and empowerment that your students walk away with. And
that's right.
Them.
And it makes me harken back to the times when I was a student. I started out my journey in higher education spending my first year of higher ed at Lincoln University. And it was it was wonderful. Did I get home?
Go ahead, doctor.
It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I felt welcomed. I felt as though I had arrived to a place where it felt very much like my own family. I only spent 1 year there because I was a city girl, and there were so many things pulling me back to the city. So I transferred.
What was his name, doctor? What was his name?
Now, you weren't going to let me get away with that. Is that it? I was a hardworking young woman, and I went to work and go to school. And he was so cute.
Nice.
You think about different things when you're young.
Yes,
and you don't know any better. And what I will say, however, is when I look back on my Lincoln days, I still have friends from that 1 year, and they still embrace me. And I would return there for the alumni reunions because I felt so connected, and they never let me forget that I was part of the family. And so when I would go back to reunions, it was almost as though I had graduated from there because they welcomed me back with open arms. But you two are something else. You go right to that point, right?
Well, I got to tell you, doctor, My grandfather was president of the real Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri. So when you said Lincoln, and so there's always been, because in our family it was
this
the
is
real
in
Lincoln.
Pennsylvania. I was referring to
exactly.
And my dear colleague president, who is also in the CIAA, Dr. Brenda Allen, she would not forgive me if I didn't say that Lincoln University in Pennsylvania is the first degree granting African-American, historically Black college and university in the country.
Oh, wow.
She says that very, very proudly, as she should. So I have to, I can't be remiss in letting you know that.
That's awesome.
And I appreciate that. And Lord knows I can't get into heaven if I don't say the real Lincoln University. And that was a great part of the African-American education lineage. And my grandfather, the first Black man to receive his PhD from the University of Kansas, and then was hired to be president of Lincoln. So granddad, thank you. But the whole thing, I mean, and it's just out of fun, and it's real sisterhood and a fraternity of people who have HBCU membership in their blood.
Right.
I went to a PWI. And it had nothing to do with a boy. Well, it kind of did, because I went to another school for a year and then came back to Chicago, and I went to Northwestern. But and when I graduated, and my mom, or was I having challenges and what have you, and she's like, it would have been a lot different if you had gone to an HBCU. And I said, and she said, but this was your choice. This was, what you decided to do. At the time, it just wasn't the right choice for me. But now, at my advanced age, I'd like to come back.
Well, come on over to Bowie State University, the oldest HBCU in the state of Maryland. Yes. I heard you say that earlier.
Yes.
And thank you for recognizing that. There's just so much excellence on our campus, so much that you could enjoy endeavoring into with the various disciplines. So I would invite you to come back, because what we all need to know is, higher education isn't just about getting you across the stage for one degree.
Right.
What we really pride ourselves on is lifelong learning and helping our students to upskill, retool, get all that they need to go back into the workplace, because the workplace is changing rapidly.
Yes.
So we need to make sure that everyone understands learning doesn't end. It continues on. It's part of a journey, and that's what you're describing.
Right.
But I don't know that when you're 18, 19 years old, you're always thinking along those lines.
That's right.
You're thinking about, okay, let me get this degree. I'm going to get a job, and then I'm done. No, you're not.
No.
It continues.
Yes, ma'am.
The learning never stops. And I think what I get from just doing my homework about the alums and students who are currently at Bowie is that they understand that every day learning something new is a part of your culture.
Yes. And we, especially during this month, we're highlighting, although, Black History Month, but on a HBCU campus, Black History Month is every day.
Right.
It's not a month. It's not a day.
Right. Yeah.
It's what you live and you experience when you're on the campus, because you learn about, you were mentioning some of the names of the buildings on another campus. That is part of the integrated learning process that we take our students through. Well, who is Thurgood Marshall?
Right.
We have a residence hall on our campus, named after Thurgood Marshall, and have his photo up. But helping our students learn about who was that? Beautiful. And what did he represent, and what is the legacy that he handed off to you? So it's important that students know their history, that they don't see it as, it's something that's added on top of, because African-American history is American history.
That's right.
And we need to know our history in order to know about from whence we came, whose shoulders we stand on. You mentioned that I'm the first female president at Bowie State University. And I think it's important that students know that kind of history as well. And I said to the to the audience earlier today, when Yolanda, you were mentioning the empowerment breakfast in the brunch we attended. And you may recall when I finished up my remarks, what did I say? I'm the first but I don't want to be the
last. That was awesome.
So I want those students to hear that message that, it wasn't always this way. These women you see it fill in that room, that is not something that always happened. And they have to know that history so that they continue to excel, reach their optimum level of performance so that they can make it better for the next generation, reach back and bring somebody along.
That's right.
That's what it's like at an HBCU, at BSU.
I have a question for you. So do you find that the young people who you are in contact with, that they get it?
Some do, because some are fortunate to have the family life where someone is instilling that in them. And throughout our culture, we really, a hallmark of African-American culture is also those oral histories, because we didn't find it in the history books. I don't know about you, but most of our history, I mean, if you were lucky to know about Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, you were lucky.
The big three,
those three. If you were lucky, that wasn't always the case either. And so through the generations in our culture, we learned a lot about our history through those stories passed down through generations. So some of them come from families that have instilled in their students and the ones coming to our campus that kind of history. But still, it doesn't have as much relevance the further you get out with different generations, and understanding that what happened in the 60s during my time, that I experienced that. I saw that on the television. I saw the anguish in my grandfather's face when, Dr. King was murdered. For this generation, it's so distant. And so we have to make sure we have that living history, that we tell the stories, continue to adhere to that tradition of oral history and telling the stories of what it meant to us. What was that impact that it had on us when we saw that, Malcolm X was murdered, the stories about Emmett Till, let's keep telling those stories. And yes, they're painful, but it's important that our children understand, but for the fight that went on in the 60s, the struggles that are, disenfranchised, slaves and citizens of this nation, but for the challenges they went through and fought through, Bowie State University would not exist today.
That's right.
Had it not been for all those struggles that they overcame. So we have to tell those stories. We have to tell the history. So this generation, some get it, but they don't quite understand, as probably, our ancestors used to talk about us. They don't get it. Those young people, they don't know. And so as we get older, it then starts to click. And as we experience more of the world, the light bulb goes off. So we have to have that light bulb go off for this generation. And we have to impress upon them sooner than later that they need to go through some struggles in this generation now, because some of the struggles they're going through, we went through back in the 60s, and we thought we had been there, done that, and we were over it.
We were done. Yeah.
And we were done, but it's not done. And we have to keep our eyes on the ball and make sure that the next generation doesn't have to fight the same struggles and challenges.
And like they say, those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. And unfortunately, those who don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it as well. One of the things that I in reading about you, Dr. Bro, and we're talking to Dr. Aminta Bro, of the president of Bowie State, is your engagement with your students. You like to have those, if it's possible, to have those one-on-one conversations with your students. How important is that?
It's extremely important to me as a leader, and I make it possible. I think, the way you spend your time, it shows where your priorities are. And I make a point to spend time with students. They're the highlight of my day. When I walk across the campus and I have a chance to talk to one of my students and hear from them about their experience on campus, but hear about their aspirations and how we can help them achieve those goals. It is just remarkable. I feel invigorated when I talk to a student. I'll sit in the dining hall on Wednesday afternoons. I go over there. It is Soul Food Wednesday. It's
wow.
so there's another little agenda there too, but it also allows me a chance to sit and talk with students. I just go and I sit and I wait to see who comes over to me. And I'm always struck by who takes up the courage, who comes over and they sit down and they park themselves and they talk to me. This generation is very outgoing.
Right.
Let me tell you, it doesn't take but a few moments for me to sit down and they'll come over, some a little bit more apprehensive than others. They might come over, can I sit with you? Is that okay? And so I love it when they take that risk to come over, because, think about when you were in college. I mean, would you have thought to go sit down with the president? No. That wasn't always, in the upbringing that you go and you just park yourself and talk to a president. Right. I didn't know, my president when I was at Temple University. Right. It's a large institution. Yeah. But today, it's really important for me to hear from my students, because the world is changing rapidly. Higher education has changed and needs to change. And so I need to hear from my students. What do they need? What are they thinking about? What is their goal? And keep pace with where they are and to support them in their learning. So when I'm walking across the campus, I want to hear from the students. I do speak to them and I'll say, hello, how are you? Now, some of them have their heads down.
Right. Or they're looking
at their devices. Right. And then I have to get in their path to say, hi, how are you? And then they look up startled, like, oh, hi. And they speak. Our students speak. If they see you, they will speak. Nice. And we encourage them to do that. So they know I see them. And I want them to know I'm there for them. Yes, I am approachable. And I also have some experiences maybe I can share with them. Right. And to be able to, give them whatever little tips or counsel that I can. And so I love sitting in the dining hall. And when we have those conversations, to just hear what's on their minds. I also do a program called Wings and Things. We have an assortment of wings. Right. It's laid back. The first 25 students to sign up for Wings and Things with the president. It can be any random student, doesn't have to be a student leader, because that way I'm able to hear from students, my average student on the campus, who doesn't know me from anybody. And they just have a chance to come in and share with me what's on their minds. And so that's so important for, I think, any leader, really, to hear from those who we are serving. And for me, it's about servant leadership. That I'm serving my students, I'm there to support them on their journeys, because there were people there for me on my journey, and I owe it to the future generation to pay it forward for them.
That's interesting. Awesome. That is so great.
Before we, Dr. Bro, we know we have to let you go because we have another guest, but can you tell us your role with the CIAA? Why we are here?
Sure. Yes. Well, as president at Bowie State University, we serve as the host university for the CIAA. We are the only member institution in Maryland. And the CIAA is being hosted in Baltimore and Charm City. And it's been an exciting week here in Charm City. We've been welcomed so beautifully. But in addition, I serve as the chair of the board of directors for the CIAA. And so I represent my colleagues, the 12-member institutions, together to promote and advance the goals of the CIAA. And the CIAA is the oldest African-American athletic conference in the country, founded in 1912. It also has a very, very rich history. And so we're really excited, to be here, to see so many people after everything we've been through the last 2.5 years come into the city. It's like a whole homecoming going on.
It really is.
Yeah,
and then we have new audiences that are learning about our HBCUs, learning about the CIAA. When we kicked off the CIAA this year, we kicked it off at BWI Airport, where we greeted Jackie McWilliams, who is an amazing leader. Strong woman, incredible leader. And as she came off the plane, We were there to greet her with the Bowie State University Symphony of Soul
Oh
Band.
my goodness.
We were there with the cheerleaders. People didn't know what was going on in the
That's
airport.
amazing. Yes.
A band, you know how the security and everything's so locked down these days.
Right.
And once everyone in the airport realized that there was an event and something going on, they heard the band, the phones came out and they're, hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Awesome.
And so we created all this excitement. So we have new audiences finding out about the CIAA, the great student athletes that we have, the excellence that we have with our academic programs across these 12 member institutions. And tomorrow night, we're going to have all these great events going on. It's been a different day every day. The day of the empowerment luncheon today. Tomorrow, we're going to have Fan Fest, the Step Show, all kinds of things going on here. So that's why we're here in Charm City and creating even great, just excitement and new histories to tell everyone about the rich history of our 12 member institutions. Bowie State Universities continue to thrive in Prince George's County. And I invite everyone to learn more about our institutions that are the economic engines of their regions, contributing so much back to the communities.
What are the biggest challenges you think that the HBCUs, and particularly Bowie State, but all of those in your conference, what is the biggest challenge that you all face?
Hold on one second, Dr. Bro.
Sure.
Sybil, you're caught up. Look at the time. We still have another guest.
Okay. That's the producer in her.
Sorry,
I'm
Dr.
sorry.
Bro.
That's okay.
This will be my last question.
Let me just answer that question because it is so important, and thank you for asking that. The answer is financial need. Many of our HBCUs have been underfunded. Here in Maryland, we are the beneficiaries of a court settlement bringing new funds to our 4 HBCUs in the state of Maryland. We're really pleased for that settlement that showed in the courts this discrimination against our HBCUs. And we need to continue to raise awareness about the underfunding that has happened in other states. Many of our HBCUs still need funding for the infrastructure, for our facilities, because we have some new buildings. Our entrepreneurship living learning community on our campus is a P3 initiative. It's been remarkable to see what that has done to create and support entrepreneurship among our students and our faculty and staff. But that's a new building. Many of our buildings, our oldest one is the Harriet Tubman Residence Hall. It's over 100 years old.
Wow.
And it's challenging to our campuses to continue to provide state-of-the-art new programs in the older facility. So that's a number one need. And then the financial need, closing in on that for our students. 49% of our students are Pell eligible students. They have great need. And that's a lower number compared to some of our HBCUs that have as high as 75% of their students that are Pell eligible, meaning they're at the lowest socioeconomic strata in our society. And so closing in on that financial gap to make higher education affordable for them is so important. We're a public university. The tuition's very low in comparison to many schools, but even with our low price point, it's still a struggle for many of our students and their families.
It really is.
Absolutely.
I'm going through that now with my niece.
See, Yolanda, that wasn't a bad question to ask.
It's a great question.
It was a great
Dr.
question.
Bro, we really appreciate your time. I would love to come and visit you and have a conversation with you on the campus of Bowie and let everyone know the beauty and the scholarship that exists there and the dynamic young people, as well as the leadership. So I'm extending an invitation to you now to be a part of this.
Well, thank you so very much for having me on tonight. Would love to show you all that's happening on the campus with the 27 undergraduate majors, 17 master's programs. There's so much variety in our academic programs, strong in the STEM areas, cybersecurity, the Internet of Things, and all the great excitement that's happening on the campus. Thank you for your time today and for your support of the CIAA.
Thank you so much.
It's
been
so
great.
Much.
Absolutely. Yolanda, can you put that comment up
Yeah,
again?
it's a lot. We just have a lot of comments. You're getting a lot of love in the comments.
Charlotte Bowen Bellamy said, "Thank you so much, Dr. Bro. What an amazing job you are doing." And that is the absolute truth. Tyrone Bourne on Facebook says, "Dr. Bro, thank you. Warm and love you. Show your warmth and love shows in what you do. Love you." So that's great.
Yeah,
and
you're getting a lot of love.
They have fallen in love with you just as we have. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so very much. Take care. Be well, everyone. God bless.
You too. Thank you. God bless you.
I told you.
I know. And you told me.
She took my breath away, and I didn't even get a chance to talk to her. So I get it. I get why you were caught up. But
yeah. Let us move to our next guest, and that is Mr. Clyde Dowdy Jr., Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at Bowie State.
Let's see if he's ready. You ready?
Good evening, ladies.
Hello.
Oh, look at you. Oh, man. Mr. Intercollegiate. Yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just listening to all the great things that you ladies are talking about. Trying to follow after my great leader, Dr. Bro. It's going to be a hard act to follow. I'll do the best I can here at the arena.
So tell me, sir, what does it mean to be the Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at Bowie State?
Well, it's a privilege. There's only 300 plus, about 320 Division II schools in the country, and I'm one of those 300 athletic directors. So it's a privilege and an honor. Also, it's a privilege and an honor to be in this space and at HBCU as historic as Bowie State University, as Dr. Bro has alluded to, with our rich history of starting in 1865 in the basement of a church, Calverton and Saratoga, Calvert Street in Saratoga. So I'm honored to have this opportunity to be in this space with gifted young men and women to try it. They lead, I follow. So I try to keep pace with them, with the changing lifestyles that they have, and not to project from my life onto them, but try to understand what they're going through, because it's a much different time.
It is a different time, and that is a greater challenge. Is it challenging in terms of bringing athletic talent to Bowie State or to HBCUs? When you think about in the conversation about the exposure that student athletes may get from PWIs?
Well, let's say it's a challenge period, because as you know, prior to all of this attention that HBCUs are getting, people question the relevancy of HBCUs. Why are they still around? They think that everything should be brought together. But HBCUs were developed for a reason, because we didn't have the opportunities to go to the University of Maryland or UMBCs or the Towsons. So the opportunity did not exist. So we had to create opportunities. And there were some revolutionaries, white folks, abolitionists, who said that give these folks an opportunity. And given us the opportunity, we have forged ahead with some great leaders. And if you look at the history, not only in athletics, but across all dynamics of education, folks have done extremely well coming out of HBCU, i.e. the Vice President of the United States.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
So here we are in this space. As far as recruitment is concerned, look, we're battling. When we started out in 1912 as a conference, colored Intercollegiate Athletic Association. And in 1950, we became the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association. So
that's interesting.
Yes.
That's great history.
From colored to central, we on the backs of strong men and strong women to become who we are today. So the recruitment space is all media driven. You see the people, our kids are very visual, they're on their phones and everything. And what captures them, and they turn on the TV and they see Duke, Ohio State, UCLA. They don't see the HBCUs. I grew up in the North. I went to a PWI like you did, Ms. Wilkes. And I had some cousins that went to Hampton and other HBC, Dell State, but I just thought they were regular colleges. I knew nothing about the difference between an HBCU and a PWI until I started to read myself and understand what this was all about and understand the culture. So we're competing against media. We're competing against the folks who had the resources. And we were denied access, then we were denied the resources to stay current with our competitors. So as you know, the lawsuit that came out, the coalition lawsuit in Maryland with the millions of dollars now is going to be backdated, which not even come close to the losses that we've had over the years. So here we are in this space right now trying to compete. But, you know, people like Deion Sanders who came along and spent a cup of coffee and a butter roll at
J-State, yeah.
They bring some notoriety to what we are trying to do. But there's so many good people and good coaches that don't have the pedigree that Deion Sanders has, or the notoriety, that have made the HBCU experience what it is in the coaching experience. Big House Gaines, John McClendon, all of the folks who worked really hard with nothing. The first budget for the HBCU tournament, or excuse me, the CIAA tournament, $500.
Shut up.
$500, Washington, D.C., 1954.
Wow.
$500. Today, the budget is close to $5 million.
Nice.
Come on.
So you can see what has grown, where we're at right now. So when you talk about recruitment, this right now on ESPN every day, people are coming to see it. So when it's out there, people can see, whoa, what is that? I want to be part of that. The bands, the cheerleaders, the energy.
The energy.
All here, here in Baltimore.
The pride.
Been in the North in 75 years. Been in the South for 75 years. Different locations. Been in Charlotte for 15 years.
Right.
Now it's time to bring North. And in the North, different demographic. You got people that didn't want to travel as far as south to see it. They've heard about it, but I can't drive that far. Now it's here in this easy location. This is a hub of transportation, plane, train, car, bus. Get here, be here. And they are coming.
Get here, be here.
Last year, the first year in Charlotte, we had an economic impact of 15 million. Well, we outdid that at 19 million this year. So last year. So we're looking to do better. We sold out all our tickets for the books. The single game tickets are selling fast. We're doing very well. So that all is part of, get back.
That's awesome.
With the recruitment piece. Build it, they should come, bring attention to it. It will happen.
Yes.
People, because they're so visual.
Amen. Well, also, speaking of visual, I hear that you, I see in the comments that you look very dapper, but I hear you're a man of many hats.
Yes.
Tell us about your hats.
Well, if you know anything about the late brother Witherspoon, you got to coordinate.
Coordinate.
Yes.
I have to coordinate. I got my Bowie tie on here.
I see that.
Nice.
So I have to coordinate, and my uncles, back in the day, as you're growing up, your folks dressed. I mean, wherever they went, they dressed. They were dapper. And that's how we existed. My uncles used to come to breakfast in a certain tie. So I was very enamored with what they looked like and what they stood for. And then they would take their clothes off and hit the field and hit the farms. But when it was time to get dressed and appropriate and how you treat women and how you treat other people, they were very adept to that. So
that's a great story.
I grasped hold of that.
Great story.
Yeah, and that's been part of my lifestyle, ladies, and I'll stick by that until the time for me to put the lid on me. There's no more time left for me. So I really enjoy this look. And people go, "Why are you always dressed up?" And I said, "Why are you always dressed down?" So
yes,
it goes hand in hand. So I enjoy, my hats, my clothes, my suits.
Well, we enjoy
you got a reputation for it too. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Absolutely. You got a great story. Will you come back and join us again? And will we have a little bit more time?
Yeah, just let me know and I'll be here, ladies.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Have a good one. Be good.
And good luck to the teams.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Take care. Thank you. Oh, he's delightful.
He is. How great.
Okay. I know. I see the time. The time. Okay. So you can be a co-host, but you also the producer. That'll never die. I know. Absolutely no. Just a couple of things I want to remind people. Please be careful. The weather is incredibly crazy. It is so, how crazy is it? I will tell you, it's snowing in Southern California.
Is it really?
It was almost 80 degrees here in Baltimore today.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be 30 on
and then
Saturday.
it's going to drop, and then it's going to drop tomorrow.
Yeah.
But people are having a lot of difficulty in traveling, so please be careful, whether it's on the roadway or in the skies. Thousands of flights have been canceled. Our friend Shantae Moore, Stephen Hill's better half, trying to go from the CIAA to Toronto, and that has been. Her travel has been disrupted, and power outages, ice storms in my hometown, my home state of Illinois. Tens of thousands of people throughout the Midwest are affected by power outages, and so please be careful and help where you can, because there are people who are stranded. They had to cancel Ash Wednesday services because of the weather and things like that. And so it is a very difficult time for people to get out and about. If you don't have to get out, as we used to say in the traffic business, if you don't have to, stay home. So please be careful. So just wanted to talk about that a little bit. We got other things to talk about. We'll talk about it next week. But I do want to, Yolanda, can we did not talk about the HBCU bridge. Can we talk about that?
Yep.
Okay. So that's why we're here. This is our attempt to take up where Tom Joyner left off. HBCU Bridge, giving students from historically Black colleges and universities an opportunity to learn and to get jobs in the media, especially in sports media. And we're going to have a wonderful program on Monday. It's a Zoom, and it's taking place Monday, February 27th, and it starts at 4:00 Eastern time, Monday afternoon. And we have great guests, Chris Brown and Mark Grant, and yours truly. But we want the HBCU Bridge is the bridge from graduation of college to your career. And introducing young people to all of the jobs and opportunities that are available, not just on camera, but those especially behind the camera. And if you have the skills and the desire and the energy to go out, to go forth and be a part of it, introducing you to in terms of internships, paid, as well as getting full-time jobs. And it's very exciting time. And there were a lot of excited young people there at the booth today.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's it. Good job, Sybil.
Well, I'm excited. As you can tell, I've had a great time, and I just got to take my weary body to bed now. But there's so much going on, and I want to encourage people to please come to the CIAA to support your HBCUs. And when I was saying what we did for Tom Joyner, raised millions of dollars to keep students in historically Black colleges and university. And so that bridge for us is taking them from Tom, keeping them in school through scholarships, and then affording them the contacts and the wherewithal to move into a way to make a living. And trust me, you can make a great living in this business. You don't have to be before the microphone or before the camera. There are people with far greater intellect as well as growing power in this business, whose names you may recognize or may not, but they started out by asking questions and being a part of opportunities like this. So that's what we do, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Good job.
Okay, thank you, Yolanda.
Can we close with Yogi's Jewels?
Yes. Do you have it, or I have it here?
I do have it. It's one of my favorites. This week we focused on flexibility, and so
truly so necessary this week.
Have to be flexible. But one of my favorite is allowing your friends the flexibility of being who they are.
And for somebody who is as hard-shelled as she is, that's saying a lot.
Yep. I love you more than you know.
Absolutely. And back at you. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did. You could tell we got a lot out of it. And I hope that you will be able to share this with others. Take care, everybody. Talk to you next week. Aloha.